I didn't decide to disconnect because I wanted peace. I told everyone I needed clarity, a fresh start, a reconnection with myself, but that was a lie crafted for their approval. The truth was simpler and uglier. I felt hollow every time I scrolled, but terrified of what I'd feel if I stopped. I wasn't seeking healing, I was running from the feeling that my life was just static noise, and somehow, I convinced myself that silence would reveal something meaningful. So I shut it all down. Every app. Notifications killed. Phone powered off. Laptop stored away like a dangerous weapon. Or the first hour it was quiet. Or the second it was awkward. Why the third, silence became a mirror I wasn't ready to look into. First, I tried to fill the quiet with productivity, cleaning things that were already clean, arranging objects that were already in place, repeating old routines with mechanical precision, just to prove I still had control. Without the constant drip of updates from the outside world, I became hyper-aware of everything inside my own, every movement, every breath, every hesitant thought that was once drowned out by noise. Noticed how often I reached for my pocket only to touch air. My hand twitched like a reflex I couldn't suppress. I wasn't checking the time, I was checking for reassurance. I was used to knowing that life was happening somewhere, that someone was thinking something, posting something, reacting to something. Without that, I felt weightless, misplaced. Instead of feeling free, I felt like I had been kicked out of reality and left watching life through a fog-covered window. His silence didn't feel peaceful for long. It felt accusatory, like it was asking me questions. Who are you when you're not reacting to the world? What's left of you when no one is watching? As the hours stretched into something heavier, I realized how much my emotions had been outsourced to a screen. I was used to letting strangers dictate how I should feel, happy if they liked me, anxious if they ignored me, validated if they agreed, worthless if they didn't. In silence, my emotions came back to me like animals I'd abandoned. They were wild, unfamiliar, unpredictable. I didn't know how to handle them without typing them into a box and waiting for approval. I tried journaling, thinking maybe I'd have some profound revelation about myself. But when I put pen to paper, nothing came out. My thoughts weren't thoughts. They were reactions waiting for something to respond to. Without a screen feeding me content, I didn't know who I was supposed to be. Time became distorted without notifications marking it. I ate not because I was hungry, but because I assumed I was supposed to. I slept not because I was tired, but because there was nothing left to distract me from the restless unease that sat in the back of my mind like a ticking alarm I couldn't shut off. Memories I hadn't asked for started resurfacing. Small moments of embarrassment from years ago returned with clarity, so sharp they felt fresh. Comments I'd read online, opinions I'd absorbed without questioning, resurfaced like old songs stuck on repeat. I realized how much of my identity had been assembled from borrowed fragments, quotes, trends, casual phrases repeated until I believed they were mine. There were moments when I caught myself talking out loud just to fill the space. I narrated my own actions like a desperate voiceover trying to prove I still existed. "I'm making coffee," I said to no one. "I'm sitting down." My own voice sounded foreign, shaky, as if I was performing for an invisible audience I couldn't see, but still believed was there. Sleep felt different too. I used to fall asleep with background video noise playing, letting voices carry me away. Without them, nighttime felt vast and heavy. I became aware of every creak in my home, every subtle shift in the darkness. I could hear my breathing, my heartbeat, too fast, too present. My mind, unoccupied by curated images, wandered into places I had never let it go before. I started questioning my decisions, my relationships, my purpose. Not in a calm, reflective way, but in a panic, as if I had reached a point of no return and now had no choice but to face everything I had buried. I cried over things I had never cried about before. Not big tragedies, small disappointments I'd long refused to feel. Moments where I'd laughed to seem unaffected. Times when I pretended I didn't care. The silence had a way of scraping off my emotional numbness layer by layer until I was left raw and uncertain. But it wasn't all collapse. Somewhere in the blur of hours, something small shifted. I woke up one morning and didn't reach for my phone. Not because I remembered it was gone, but because I didn't need it to confirm my existence. I made breakfast slowly, not to post about it, not to make it aesthetic, but because the quiet warmth of cooking started to feel comforting. I began noticing simple things: a steady rhythm of my footsteps, the distant hum of traffic outside, the shape of my thoughts before they were filtered for public consumption. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't try to see what others might see. I just saw myself tired, flawed, but real. Here was a moment I'll never forget. I stood by the window, watching clouds drift lazily across the sky, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. I wasn't rushing to catch up, to stay relevant, to be part of something. I was just there, present, whole, even if unpolished. Disconnecting didn't grant me instant peace or sudden enlightenment. It didn't fix me, but it stripped away the noise long enough for me to realize how much of myself had been hiding under it. The silence that once terrified me eventually became a kind of grounding reminder that my worth wasn't measured by updates, reactions, or constant stimulation. I learned that emotions, when faced instead of escaped, lose their power to control me. I learned that boredom is not a void to fear, but a doorway to observing what I've been too distracted to notice. And I learned that being alone is not the same as being abandoned. When it was over, I powered my phone back on. Notifications flooded in like a tidal wave: stages, updates, reminders that the world had kept moving without me. For a moment, my heart raced the way it used to, hungry for validation, terrified of disconnection. I didn't rush to open anything. I just held the device in my hand and breathed, aware that I had a choice now: to react out of habit or to respond with intention. Logged back in slowly, carefully, choosing what to let back into my life instead of letting it choose me. Can't say I'll never fall into old patterns again. But now I understand what silence reveals. And once you've heard your own mind without noise, you can never fully unhear it.